I'm Fred Wesley, the editor-in-chief of the Fiji Times, and I have some important and very, very exciting news for you, our reader, our fan, our support and family. I'm proud to announce a special project that we've been working on behind the scenes, which is connected to the 2022 general elections. Today we start the first of a series of interviews with political party leaders and other stakeholders in a program we plan to run over the next few weeks leading up to the election. We realize there's a certain level of expectation that is firmly fixed on us as an organization. There's a level of expectation in terms of content delivery and content management. So naturally there will be a level of expectation associated with the Fiji Times brand. Whatever we do, our readers, our supporters and the rest of you, the followers and family members, have quite high expectations. And this can be stressful sometimes, but it inspires us and motivates us to be the best that we can be. For 153 years, we've been delivering news to you. As we kickstart this special program that you're about to watch tonight, we do so with great pride. A lot of work has gone on behind the scenes, and I take this moment to acknowledge our digital team. We embark on a journey of discovery with the ultimate goal of creating awareness leading up to the general elections on December 14. Over the days and weeks, we plan to talk to political party leaders. We're planning to ask them the tough questions. And like you, we want to know what their plans are, what their hopes and aspirations are, and what difference they bring to the table. There's a standard expected of us that translates to the program we have for you. So join us on this journey of discovery. Join us so that together we can be enlightened, we can be empowered to make well-informed decisions on election day. Remember, your choice matters, your vote counts, and the action you take leading up to that important date on December 14, 2022, it matters. You must be wondering why the lens at 177. I'm standing here today at 177 Victoria Parade in Suba, the home of the Fiji Times.
Hello and welcome to the Lens at 177. Today, joining me as guest is the leader of People's Alliance Party, the flamboyant Sitiveni Rabuka. Mr. Rabuka, can I call you the Prime Minister in waiting on this program today?
Well, I believe there are others who are calling themselves that. You can call me that.
Are you feeling that confident that yes, this is the time?
Yes, I am confident, and the people with me are confident. There is only one objective in politicians standing for election, particularly at this time, and that is to get in and lead the government.
Why should you become the next Prime Minister?
I believe I have done it before, and I still have to continue to right the wrongs of the past, particularly having been misunderstood in the last 35 years and made a devil in the last 16 years.
How does that feel? People calling you, labeling you as devil?
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion of oneself, so they're free to call me that. I can call them other names, but I'm a bit too experienced for that, and it brings out the malice in you. So it's better not to open up and allow malice to come out in words. I've tried to be very objective in my assessment of people and what they do, and have no malice against anyone.
And how is Mrs. Rabuka supporting you in this journey that you are on now?
Quietly, and silently, but loyally at home.
Okay. Looking at the forecast for this election, you must be doing your numbers behind the scene. You must have people working for you. What's your forecast that this election is going to which way?
Well, I don't do my own. I've been following what other people have put up. It was a lot higher before. Now that the battle is closing, it's become very closer, but I'm still leading in the last one that I saw, but not with an absolute majority on my own. So in retrospect, I look at the wisdom of of going into that understanding with the National Federation Party. I think we mutually support each other. We give them encouragement and support, they give us encouragement and support. And people who are not prepared to come all the way to People's Alliance can support National Federation Party. In that way, we it's like a symbiotic relationship, and it's good for both.
Jointly, how many seats you are looking at?
I'm looking at the moment at a realistic 28.
That's it?
22 plus 6.
2 plus 6. Okay. That brings me to the size of government you will form should you get into government. What's the size of government or cabinet you are looking at currently?
We will be looking at a very small cabinet, smaller than many of the cabinets we've had in recent past. We have to be aware of how costly it has been running a government. The cost of government has been very high and unfairly high on the people of Fiji and unfairly high on the people of Fiji. However, if we had paid, we have been paying our ministers well. What we get from them for that salary is not enough. What government is doing is that they are listening, or the two of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General are listening to themselves. They have not consulted. They have some high-profile people who have good initial thoughts on things that are good for government, but they're not being, it's not being tapped. They just go on their own, the two of them.
So which ministries will be on the chopping block should you become Prime Minister?
All the departments will be there, but they'll be moved towards, we'll consolidate the departments into functional areas of operations. Like we are looking at the social services, how many do we really need? We cannot lump health and education together. So at the moment I'm not prepared to go into this ministry will not be there, this ministry will not be there. The functions of the ministries will continue to be there. The ministers will not be ministering for those specific ones that they're in now.
You said NFP may bring 6 parliament seats for you. So how many cabinet portfolios for them?
That we'll have to jointly look at. It's not a, we didn't do a horse trading before. I come and I have, you give me a certain percentage of the, a proportional percentage of the cabinet. Nothing like that. We have shaken hands on a gentleman's agreement. We are standing together. We are forming that net government regardless of the number of cabinet ministers they provide or we provide.
Will Biman Prasad be your deputy prime minister if he...
We will cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay. Which other political parties are you ready to shake hands with should the need arise apart from NFP?
We have tried in the past, and the resistance we encountered in our attempts to forge wider coalitions have not been very encouraging. So I do not expect any of them to be readily coming to us. But they will have to either move to the government side or the opposition side. And if they opt to move to the opposite government side when we're on the government side, then they will be considered. They bring with them some meritocracy in the selection of cabinet level officers.
Do you relish will you relish the day to see the current Prime Minister sit opposite you in the opposition?
No, I do not relish it as you have put it. I want them to try it. I'm sure they will not like it, particularly if they expect us to treat the opposition like they have treated their opposition. But we will not.
The Constitution will allow you, should you become Prime Minister, to bring an Attorney General outside of Parliament.
That's correct.
Will you consider that?
We can, if there is no one in Parliament who is worthy of selection to be the Attorney General. I think the provision in the Constitution is only there in case the leader of the majority party finds that they do not have one within the elected members of parliament, if they find that they do not have one that will do that job worthily.
Is Madam Linda Tambuya up for the job if she puts her hands
She
up?
is a lawyer. She qualifies, and we have to look at all the aspects of that position. It's not only one who has is licensed to practice or who has a legal qualification, academic qualification to be a lawyer. It's more than that. It's like almost like a chief justice in a normal justice system in a respectable democracy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rabuka. We'll continue the discussion after this short break.
We were around when the deed was first signed. We were around when the first car engine roared. We were around when the very first was crowned. Through devastations, jubilant celebrations, and the milestones. We will continue to be around to bring you all the stories first.
Welcome back, and we are talking to Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Mr. Rabuka, you have apologized, you have repented about your part in the coup, the 1987 saga and all that. What else can you do to convince the voters this time that you have amended your ways?
I just have to continue with the spirit of the formulation and promulgation of the 1997 Constitution. That was a very noble display, a demonstration of multiracial cooperation and understanding when we came up with that. And a lot of it must be credited to Mr. Jairam Reddy and the senior members of the National Federation Party. They did very well to hold the Indo-Fijian vote at the time and to keep them with them. Unfortunately, with the new system of voting that was introduced with the 1997 Constitution, the electoral provisions of that Constitution hit us very badly, and we were a shambles after 1999.
Do you see the Indian community moving towards PAP, or are they still on the bandwagon with NFP and then they come to you?
Even if they're going with the Federation Party, going in with their eyes open, that Federation Party is a friend of Rabuka's. And I'm not worried about that. There are people who may politically be willing now to come all the way with the People's Alliance, but then they may have some cultural problems with the young people who still do not understand. They were not there at the time, perhaps, and they heard the stories, and they probably telling their parents, look, we are not very comfortable at the moment. We heard the stories. We didn't hear it from you, but you are willing to work with them, so we'll work with a midway home sort of organization where we have the National Federation Party for those that are not prepared to come all the way to People's Alliance.
So what kind of leaders do you expect to be in your government? If you have to give them a checklist, if you have this, then you are in your cabinet.
Well, first of all, they have to be upright citizens on their own, who have done something for themselves and their organizations, whatever they have done. They must be achievers in their own right. And we can mold those achievers into an highly motivated team of achievers to form the government of Fiji.
How can you protect the Fijians from leaders who either don't want to listen to them or turn a blind eye to their problems?
How do we protect whom?
The Fijian voters.
Well, we just have to, in my case, you get what you see. We are not putting up any facade or anything like that. It's they know of my past. They have seen the worst of me. They have not seen the best of me yet.
Can you elaborate on that past, the best of you?
Yeah.
What's to come?
Well, I'm now a mellowed leader. I am wiser. I'm more determined. And I have great grandchildren. I want them to live in a great Fiji. And I want to do all I can while I'm still alive to make sure that the Fiji of their adulthood is a great Fiji to be in.
Will your government be a transparent government? Will consult before making laws and policies?
We have to be, because that's my style. We've always been like that. I believe in very wide consultation and objective consultation. You don't just go out with your predetermined result of the consultation. You go out and be genuinely interested in what people would like to contribute to what you're trying to formulate. And in that way, the people will recognize their ideas when you put your policies into place. It's, we remember talking about that, and we suggested that. So people will be, it will be really, really participative democracy.
Should you be in government, some of the key people who will be key to your government will be the persons holding constitution offices, the police commissioner, the military commander, so forth and so forth. What's your opinion on those who holding this office? Should they be loyal to the government of the day, or should they do their work by the constitution?
They will have to perform according to their calling and the appointment by the Constitutional Officers Commission. They are holders of constitutional offices. They must be true to the office, not necessarily politically aligned to the political masters of the day. I believe that.
Will you change the current commissioner of police?
At the moment, he's going through a very rough patch with the current government, and the government means the cabinet, the members of parliament on the government side, the constitutional officers appointed holders, all those, they all part of the government and governance. And to have two fighting against each other, two very important persons in the area of the justice and the rule of law in Fiji, it's sickening. They should not be doing that. I think the Commissioner of Police was wrong to have publicly aired his views. As a responsible Constitutional Officers Commission holder, office holder, he should have had a word with the DPP on their own.
So my question remains, will you replace him?
Not necessarily. We have not looked at him. We have not set to judge whether he's suitable for the position or not. And that will have to be the recommendation put to the Constitutional Officers Commission.
What about the military commander?
All those things are constitutional officers. They are appointed by the Constitutional Commission.
On the advice of the Prime Minister?
On the advice, and it doesn't have to be, because if they can still be outvoted, because the Prime Minister is one person. He has another nominee and two other nominees, and the director or the leader of the opposition has his own nominee. So they'll have to discuss it very, very objectively. Appointments to that are not coterminous with the appointing authority. Let's be very sure and let's be very certain. So if the authority that appointed you is no longer the authority that appointed you, it doesn't necessarily mean that your position is coterminous with their office.
Yes. Talking about current boards of statutory government organizations and public enterprises, board of directors, will your government also look at that to change?
Yes,
boards?
for obvious reasons. We would like them to be able to run with the policies that we come up with, and it's only right that we expect them. If they believe in the policies we put into place, and they can objectively pursue them to their fruition, then they should be made to take that oath of allegiance to their appointing authority.
You have very confidently said you're looking at 28 seats. Is it safe to say
22 seats.
22 plus 6? Is it safe to say you've also got somebody in mind for Speaker of the House?
We will look at that when we get there, and it will be a bipartisan approach. We will talk to our coalition partners and make the decision then.
And the Constitution, 2013 Constitution, will that be on the agenda for amendments if you have the chance to amend?
All constitutions should be constantly looked at for amendments. They should metamorphose with the population as we continue to develop and also evolve with the populace. And no different with the 2013 Constitution.
You have said you have mended your ways, you're a changed person, you want to be receptive. Will you consider removing the immunity sanction that is in there for you?
What's the point of removing the immunity thing now? I'm immune from prosecution by whom? The 1987 Constitution coup was against Her Majesty's government, and Her Majesty's government should have pressed for my prosecution as Her Majesty's government of Fiji. Her Majesty's government of Fiji is no longer the government of Fiji. We are ruled by the people's government of Fiji.
So will it be okay if that immunity against you is gone?
If it's gone, it doesn't matter, because nobody can bring any charges against me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rabuka. We'll join you on the other side. Mr. Rabuka, thank you very much. Let's continue the discussion and let's look at some specific policies you are bringing to these elections. First on poverty. What can the Fijian voters expect from People's Alliance Party in regards to poverty, eradication of poverty?
Eradication of poverty is more than just giving the so-called poor more spending money. We have to provide policies and programs that take them out of the poverty situation. They must be part of the solution. The government should not take on the total onus of removing poverty. It has to be a partnership between the government and those who are struggling with poverty. And we're talking about finding suitable employment, or they have to be gainfully employed in their daily activities, making life affordable, the essentials of life affordable, making their future secure if they are working, making sure that the Provident Fund is there for their providence. It's for when the difficult times come that they have now been contributing to it. And we must acknowledge that for their providence, it has been a contribution between themselves and their employers. And they must be grateful for that and not too selfish about it. Things like improving the accessibility to market for our subsistence farmers in the villages, and the other industries that supported Fiji's economy in the past. The copra industry, that's got to be looked at again. I grew up in the village, and there was a lot of emphasis put on copra. Now we have other products coming out of the coconut. We have extra virgin coconut oil, we have virgin coconut oil, we have the other things that can come out of a coconut fruit, coir for landscaping, the charcoal can be revisited. Those things can really take off again, and just making their resources available and accessible to the market. We're putting too many licenses on people. We're over-regulating. People who want to sell their produce on the side of the road, They are being regulated. You cannot sell there. You have to go there. We must facilitate. We must facilitate the so-called poor people's own efforts to get out of poverty. We help them. Hands up.
If you become Prime Minister, you will inherit a national debt of 9.1 billion. That will be a tough issue to handle. How do you intend to go about doing that?
We have to understand national debts. National debts are not necessarily a burden that cannot be borne. We must understand that the debt will not be called. We will not be called to pay all at once. We can reprogram our debt and look at our own system of generating our own national the GDP. And don't ask the Prime Minister about that. We have to increase that. We have to grow the economy, and only then can you assure the financial institutions that have lent you money that, okay, if they're asking for reprogramming the repayment of these loans, we can give it to them. They've shown that they have been very responsible in the first 12 months of their administration. They have not gone into funding an excessively expensive government. They've been responsible about the number of ministers they have, and also they've reviewed the salaries to be comfortably comparable to the low-wage earners. Those are the things that we really have to demonstrate to the international community that we are a responsible government.
Will you look at the tax regime in Fiji, current tax regime?
Every country needs to have a look at their own taxation system and regime every 5 years or 10 years. And we will need to look at it, because the dynamics of international monetary and fiscal reviews and revenues and systems need to be constantly watched. New players and new factors that come in to affect those will compel us to have reviews every 5 years or every 10 years.
In the community, especially in the Indian community, there's discussion that the People's Alliance Party and NFP government will take away social welfare payments. Is that?
That cannot be. I don't think they were honest when they were saying that, because no government does not have a social welfare system. Every government, rich or poor, has a social network to bring people up. And I must say now, it will not result in that, and our leadership will improve the social welfare network for people.
If I asked you to say thank you to the Fiji First Party for doing 3 things correct and right for the people of Fiji, what would those 3 things be?
I'll have to think very hard.
You have time.
Yeah.
Just 3 things.
Well,
on the top of your head.
I must say that they have tried. And the second thing that I must thank them for is they have endured the rightful condemnation they have received, and then bravely put on a face as if nothing wrong has happened. So all the positive things I'm going to tell you are all positive about the negative things that they have done.
Should you lose and not make government, will you become leader of opposition and sit on the other side?
I think it'll be won't be worthy of anything, because I want to lead. I'm going out to win the elections with my partner, the National Federation Party. We're out to lead, and if we don't lead, I cannot contribute what I want to contribute from the opposition benches. And if this Fiji First, by some very unlikely circumstances, come back as government, they will continue the downward spiral of the nation and its economy.
So what will a leader like you do if they come back into power again?
Well, you have to accept that the fact that if you fail, that means Fiji does not understand you, does not believe that you have anything worthwhile to contribute. So why stick around?
So Brings me to that question again. If you lose, will this be the last election for Sitiveni Rabuka?
That's correct.
You'll retire from politics?
Yes, I will retire from politics and just be with my family.
Okay, looking maybe 10 years ahead, what's your vision for the country?
I'll be 84. I'll probably have very weak eyesight, so my vision of the country will be very squinty.
Now, speaking politically,
Okay.
on a serious note.
In 10 years' time, if we don't have a change in leadership, we will be in dire straits.
And your final message to the voters?
This is their one chance to bring on a better and a brighter future. They must go out and vote. We cannot blame anybody else. We blame ourselves for voting in to remain in power, the wrong people who have led us astray in the last 15 years, or have not gone in to vote for the right people we believe can make a change. I'm asking everyone to please go and vote on the 14th of December, 2022.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rabuka. That was the program for today. Join me again soon.